show. Always Irish show. Always Irish show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison. I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing. Doing a damn thing. The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to a winter mix edition of the Always Irish Morning Show. I don't know where you're at, but it is. I went to take the garbage out in the recycling, and there's snow blowing sideways, not down, long ways, sideways, blowing all over. Snow, full snow, not even like half rain, snow. I'm all for it today, but go away for blue and gold game. Just give me, can a brother get a good day for blue and gold? Just give me one day for blue and gold. Last year, it was like warm. And then the day before blue and gold, it crapped out into a nightmare. Like, just give me some good weather. Come on. Brandon Fry, 83 and humid in Atlanta. Hey, you have some benefits and some negatives moving to Atlanta, Brandon. I mean, you're away from Notre Dame. You're away from your family. I realize that sucks, but at least you got the weather on your side. And you can always go back. Yeah, Johnny Boy Recycles, such an environmentalist. I don't know, man. I moved into the house and there was a blue can and a green can. So, I mean, I try. If I'm going to go out there anyways and I have like a box, I may as well put it in the recycling thing. It makes me no more effort. And I walk down the driveway with one in each hand anyway. So it's not like it's an extra trip. I've thought about this recycling thing. Why not do your part, I guess, if you're walking out there anyways? I don't know. Man, we got people all over. It's a beautiful thing. Atlanta, Texas, Florida, everywhere. Man, I just got back from Florida. It was just like 80 and sunny, and you didn't have the Florida humidity yet. Oh, baby, it was nice. It was really nice. Steven says, Caitlin just hit another 3. I got to tell you, I mean this genuinely. Even with games Notre Dame's women basketball been in, like on their title run with Muff, that game the other night was the most entertaining basketball I've watched in a long time. And I am not a traditional, typical women's basketball viewer. Like, that's not something I'm really into unless Notre Dame's like in it, then I'll watch. I'm telling you, that was the most entertaining women's basketball game I think I've watched. And it wasn't just, it was Caitlin Clark, but it was also, I admit, the drama of Iowa against Mulkey and all the LSU stuff and the history there. You had the personalities. I just thought it was a really entertaining game. And, I mean, Caitlin gets a little wild there. Pull it up from half court and shooting almost like whatever, but she made what, 9 or 10 threes? And the vision it's one thing to make a bunch of threes, but her vision's also something that stood out to me, like her passing vision and spacing vision. She had a lot of passes right through these narrow openings. I don't know. I was impressed. So it was entertaining. And I did see it did major numbers. Like, it did major numbers as far as like a women's basketball situation. That was really high numbers. Look at the Adam Dowling, no Scooter today. Things are looking up in the ND world. Like, bro, I don't even want to be like, this is where we're at, but this is where we're at. Like, we're and the Scooter looks so sad. The scooter looks so sad. Adam put this on like it looks like a little kid scooter or something. Like it's just so sad. So we're off the scooter. So what are we in? A walking cast now for the rest of spring? Wow, I feel much better. All my Notre Dame stress is gone now. Angela, what's going on? Always good to have a Rudiger here. Dr. John, I see you on the line. You're going to be the first caller. I had one other call dropped off. Give me a call back whenever you want. Phone lines are open, 312-900-8815. Anything you want to do. You want to focus on spring practice, go for it. You want to talk about the quarterback situation, go for it. You want to talk about recruiting, go for it. Anywhere you want to go as we get caught up for Florida and lead into blue and gold coming up pretty soon. Charlie Weiss's last belt loop. May the Lord help you survive the day. like I know that name is not like polite. I know that, but there's just no way with my personality that I can read that name and not laugh and think about like the stress your life would be if you were what this name says. Very stressful life. Oh man, rough existence. Chief Brody says, let's criticize Freeman again, you guys. I'm sorry. Jay Carr says, John, you got to sign Leonard's cast at the blue and gold game. The frustrating part of that is the time that I met Buckner at a blue and gold tailgate and I get a picture with him and he's got a boot on. And it was just the most depressing thing ever. Like, I went into that spring game going, the number one thing I want to see is Buckner throw the ball around and do all this. And then he's in the tent where I'm drinking Miller Lite and he's got a cast on his foot. It was so sad. It was so sad, man. I felt so bad for him. And we're taking this picture, we're lining up and I'm looking down. I'm just looking down at this air cast like, bro, no, I felt so bad. I did. Yeah, you were banned from meeting any players ever. I bumped into Joe Alt on accident and he accidentally stomped me in the ground. Like, I'll never forget that one. Ohio podcast, what's going on? We need to touch base, Ohio podcast, some updates on some things. That same tailgate, I turned around, me running my mouth, walking around, talking to everybody. I turn around and I literally bumped in to Joe Alt. And it was like, you ever see those pictures of those little kids meeting Andre the Giant in like the 80s, like in an airport or something? And it looks like the dimensions are off. I'll never forget bumping into Joe Alt and turning around and just looking up at him like, oh, that's what this looks like. It was unbelievable. I'm not a big guy to begin with, so it was exaggerated. I just looked up like, oh, wow. Okay. So that's what we got. Good. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Ohio State spring game on national TV. I believe I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong. Michigan and Ohio State are both going to be on the main Fox channel, I believe. They're having it on the whatever. Good for them. I mean, it's good for TV. Aaron Judge and Jose Altuve. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Oh, man. All right, let's get through. Yeah, it's on Fox. Let's get through the introduction. We got a couple calls. Dr. John, you're going to go up first. I like letting you do your thing, and then you could go on with your 3 rounds of golf and 4 dates you have with the ladies the rest of today. You're the international man of mystery. You're always up to something. He's an international player, okay? So that's the deal with John, whether he admits it or not. We'll get to it. So let's do our introduction. And I got something we got to go over. Yeah, give the stream a like. Matt Miller, thank you. Karis, what's going on? Yeah, it's on Fox. Mikey Pulls, what's going on? Larry, morning from Texas. This is weird. I had something I recorded a video on yesterday or the day before, and it hasn't come out yet. So I was scheduling things out that I wanted to post. And I had an angle on something, a very specific angle on something I liked and approved of for once with Notre Dame. And I got to tell you that feeling I had just got ramped up times 100. I wrote an article about this topic and I did a video. And then this morning, now I'm even more reaffirmed in what I wrote and said even before that. A bunch of people mentioned it already. We'll get to it. Also, the Philly special. Look at this. Florida stories, Johnny. I got 2 of them. We'll get to them too. I'm going to give the callers the time. I don't want to take their time. And I got 2 Florida stories for you. Would it surprise anybody if I said I had a problem with TSA at the Palm Beach airport? Would that surprise any of you? The way you know of me, just minding my own business, just keeping to myself, just trying to make a flight. And Johnny boy here gets flagged. I get flagged at the airport. What? Maybe you should obey the law. Do I look like a lawbreaker to you? Of all the reasons people like Johnny, it's not because he's such a rebel breaking all the rules. I had a TSA problem, and I was and it ended up with me being kind of sarcastic with the TSA. I'm sorry. Wait, they did me wrong. They weren't listening. We'll get to it. And then I have a scientific issue, another Florida issue. Man, look at this. I see nothing wrong with you getting flagged. You're a nut job. Yeah, we know that. You know that. The guy at TSA in Palm Beach, Florida should know that. It ain't like when I give him yes, they frisked me down, Phil. That guy was giving me a better rub down than Robert Kraft got in Palm Beach. Give me a break. Anyways, I just... I don't know why, but that was funny to me. I'm giving myself credit for pulling that one out. That was pretty good. I did get an extra rub down. I was telling the guy what the deal was, and he wasn't listening to me. Yeah, allegedly. And he wasn't listening to me. Adam, you probably didn't stop running your mouth. I didn't stop running my mouth once I realized I was getting extra. I'll explain it. I'll get there. I have an explanation. It ain't pretty. I have an explanation of what happened. I can identify why I got flagged, and it ain't pretty, and I'm not proud of it, but we're going to have to go over it. All right, I'm getting down the line here. So let's do the introduction so we can get going. Dr. John's coming up. I got a 574. You're coming up. Stay with me. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, on a cold Wednesday. And I'm happy to be here with you. I'm happy to be back on our wrongfully detained. I wouldn't say I was detained, but I was brought off to the side and a bunch of extra stuff violated my rights. Welcome in. Welcome back to a winter edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. And if you're all sitting there this morning with your coffee, watching me go nuts about getting in trouble with TSA in Florida, give the video a thumbs up. Helps me out. Notifications on that way you alerted every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter. Search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. I certainly don't blame you for that one. How do you think I feel? Call-in lines, you already know them. 312-988-15. You dial it up and tell me all you've heard and seen. You could go anywhere you want. The quarterback thing, overall, practice, is it going the way you want it to? This offense with Denbrock, they want to try and be more aggressive this year. How's that going to work out? Do we have the talent to make that a reality? Anywhere you want to go, we could go. All right, that's up to you. USA Today, Fighting Irish Wire, read all about it. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. Former captain, leading tech with Mike Goolsby and myself. We have a good time over there. We have a lot of stuff planned for next season. Now that we have a full off season to get things in order, some new segments, some interactive things, we're going to have a good time over there. And of course, this episode's brought to you by ndsubwayalumni.com. Everybody knows my affinity for the Subway alumni. This fan base would not be what it is without this group. So honor them. He was the leading tackler of the teams he was a captain to. Yes. And that's a big deal to me because I always say I am not interested in naming somebody a Notre Dame captain, and then I see them getting worked over every Saturday. You're not a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. I've said it before. I say it on the introduction. It's one of my pet peeves. If you're going to be named a captain, it is a requirement that you be a leader by action on the field. You're not a captain otherwise. You're a cheerleader if you're a captain and not good on the field. I don't need that. I don't want that. Oh, boy. All right. Let's do a couple of the super chats, and then we'll get going. You guys are funny, man. You guys are funny. $5 from the Homer. T minus 17 days until we christen the Lewski. I'm looking forward to seeing that Lewski myself. I'm very much excited about it. And again, if we just get decent weather, it doesn't even have to be warm. I don't need Florida beach weather. Could it just not be 32 and sleeting with a 40-degree crosswind? Commander Luke, he's at it again. I see we got the number 27 linebacker at the positions verbal. That's a little higher than most of the recruits at their position for 25, right, Johnny? Listen, until Notre Dame ends a recruiting cycle, number one, I'm going to agree with you that it ain't good enough and I want more. If the idea on this is to get me to push back and be like, no, it's perfect, I love it, Freeman walks on water and nothing needs to improve at all, or we don't need to hope for better, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. So, yeah, I would like Notre Dame to have all 4 and 5-star recruits. Is that what's going to make you happy? If I say that there's more meat on the bone in recruiting, and I'm not going to fight you on that. If your argument is I want Notre Dame to have as much talent as possible on the team, I'm not the guy that's going to fight you on that one. I'm fine with it. Yeah, Brandon, the Sox made the over. I put out a tweet saying I'm putting the White Sox over under season win total at 0. So that would be a record of 0 and 162. And they won yesterday. So there we could move it to 1.5. It's one of those things where you're so frustrated with the team that's in your art. You honestly want them to lose as much as possible just to prove the point. The Sox winning a game here or there, they're going to lose 100 games. Pile it on. The worse, the better, to make everybody realize how bad it is and that change is needed. We're almost to the point with them where winning games makes me mad because it's false hope. Winning games is false hope for them because they're going nowhere and the team's awful. Okay? So it almost made me mad when they won last night. And if you want to say that's sick, you could say that's sick. I won't disagree with you. Yeah, Jay Lehman brought up something after the callers. It'll be the first thing I go back to, and it is what I was referencing. I wrote an article about, and you'll have an episode coming up for. Look at this. Nikki Dean loves to be heard and seen. Got the tickets in the Airbnb for the blue and gold game on lockdown. Now just got to get there. Go Irish. I'm excited to see you guys. A lot of people have messaged me saying that they didn't know if they were going to go. They're going to make the trip. Man, that's awesome. We're going to have a really fun group. Mark's over here pounding peeps. 8 packs of peeps. Woof. Philip, top of the morning to you from New Mexico. Go Irish. Philip, it's good to have. I don't know how many people I have for that state. There's a couple that I know that I have other than you from out that way. It's beautiful to see. Good to have you here. Oh, Mark. Arguably the most important players on offense and defense, both just had surgeries, plus the portal opens in a couple weeks, equals there is no smooth sailing until kickoff, unfortunately. It's a wild ride. And it's not ideal. But what are your options? You have to go with the flow and make things work the best you can and get through it. It's not ideal. The injury, there's a million different ways to look at it. It's not ideal. This really sucks. Or you could say, I'm just glad it isn't happening in August and it's happening now if it had to happen. I don't know how you want to look at it. It's clearly not ideal, but it is not the nightmare that would be the second week of August this happens, right? So I'm trying to be in the middle there, but there is a part of me that feels like we're losing a lot of reps. We're losing a lot of chemistry that should be being built that isn't built, especially on offense. So I don't know. I'm going to answer this right now. Peeps are good for a year, but why is it that Reese's peanut butter eggs taste way better than the regulars? This is science. This is absolute pure science, Mark. I've given this a lot of research and a lot of thought my entire life. There's a very easy answer. The reason the Reese's eggs and the Halloween pumpkins, okay, the reason those taste way better than a regular Reese's cup is because they do not have that outer jagged ring of chocolate that the regular Circle Reese's have. If you were honest about yourself, the worst part of a regular Reese's cup is that hard ridge because there's not peanut butter in it. It's just hard chocolate. When you get the eggs and the pumpkins for Halloween and Easter, it does not have that jagged edge. Every single morsel of that baby is a blend of peanut butter and chocolate. You're not getting that hard ridge you have to chomp through. And then the composition of that throws off the balance of all those other flavors and the texture in your mouth. That's the scientific answer, and I'm convinced of it. That is the reason why. The worst part of a regular Reese's is the jagged, boring, regular edge that the peanut butter locks into. There's not much flavor. The eggs and the pumpkins eliminate that, and it makes it a pure joy because you're getting the natural blend throughout. So it's science. Don't ask me. Don't question me. I'm just telling you the science behind this stuff, okay? And I'm convinced that's the reason why. Chief, rewatch your postgame shows for Marshall and Louisville. God bless you. You did not sound like much of a Freeman fan for those. Nobody could be. Just because I like the way the guy does things overall does not mean he gets a free pass. I'm sorry. Like, I don't like being even accused of being that guy. I like the way he operates, but when he makes mistakes, you need to talk about them. I think that's fair. I do. Oh, boy. Dr. John. Good morning, John. I'm doubling down for you for the blue and gold festivities. However, I will not inhale. That's very appropriate of you, Dr. John. I believe you. I believe you for sure. Chief Brody. Yeah, that's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. To a Marcus Freeman needs to actually make the playoffs this year. I'm calling for his head edition of the Always Irish show. I don't know. You need to make the playoffs. Can we just leave it at that? Like, this isn't a discussion. It's not a debate of like, where are we at on all this and how many more years does it take to do? No. You need to make the playoff, period. Whatever that looks like, you need to make the playoff. You just do. Yeah, Mark, did Pat transfer to AYS? Where's he at? He's on vacation again. I believe. Yeah, I thought he said he was in Arizona. I think he said he was going to Arizona. But yeah, I've had some back and forth with Blake over at AYS. I just can't. the whole Brian Kelly, he's got Brian Kelly in his profile and all this. And I cannot help myself. So I give Blake a hard time over there. He works hard though. He's on the same grind I am at AYS, doing it alone, doing it himself, putting out a ton of content, live stream, shorts, whatever. I respect his grind, but I'm going to give him a hard time. Brian Kelly's on works at TSA. I'm telling you, if Brian Kelly worked for TSA, people would be able to get in, bring in anything because he wouldn't want to take the time it takes to check them. That's what would happen if Brian Kelly was in charge of TSA. He would get sick of having to actually frisk people and would just let them all walk by. That's what would happen. He would quiet quit. Arizona for work, not vacation. Coming home today. Yeah, work. You're on the line with me. I love you, Pat. It's early over there, man. 2 hours. Is it at 7:25 in Arizona time? Who in the hell wants to listen to me at 7:25 in the morning do all this? God bless you people. It's a rough road. Oh, Dr. John, I got to get somebody in here that's going to drop real quick. I owe you an apology. I got to get him in. Barely ever calls. Andy's gone. Never mind. Mason, try again. Dr. John's up. You reclaim your spot at the top. What's up, Dr. John?
Hey, good morning, lad. Good morning. Well, I'll tell you what. I got some business and I've got some fun stuff, I think. So.
Oh, I like it. That's a good
blend.
one
on the business thing. What? Number one on the business. I watched your video the other day, and you said, "Well, we need a top 5 defense." We had one. We were number 5 in total defense last year.
I think maybe I was looking at scoring defense. They ended up number 9 because I know 9 was a number. Both the offense and the defense fell at 9. And I believe it was probably overall points allowed and points given up. I think, Dr. John, I just feel like there's a different level that defense can get to. As good and as sturdy as they've been in the backbone of the program, I feel like there's more meat on that bone to maybe dial up more pressure, get more sacks. Like, I just think there's a little different level they could get to. And I don't want to see any complacency. I want to see them reach to get even better this year, whatever that looks like.
All right. I just needed to touch on that. The other thing is, I suppose I owe an apology to Commander Luke. I got on his case a little bit Monday because of a personal attack on my surrogate grandson. So you kind of slapped me up against the head on that one. But I took my punishment, and I'll take it as a joke. But you got to watch those personal attacks, especially when Cotter's not on duty. You know.
Yeah, it's easy to slide one in. And I just try and I take it in stride. And I do find it healthy to have a little bit of that discourse in here. I wouldn't want a scenario where everybody agrees with everything and we're all on the same page. Like, that's not healthy either. So I do like a little discourse. It's just at times I'm not in the mood for it, or it crosses a line and then I explode. That's just the way it goes here. I've accepted it.
Yeah. Okay. Third thing on the business thing is the perception of Notre Dame's money. I know you had a show. I think it was a show. Maybe it was during your regular call-in where you were feeling pretty good because the difference wasn't that much. Gosh, I watched somebody's video the other day, something like. Something Mafia, where he used the same numbers, but he called it doomsday for Notre Dame, money-wise. Did you happen to see that?
I did not. I don't see how it's doomsday unless the ACC caves. I don't see why it's doomsday. I have not seen really any Notre Dame people saying this is a horrible deal. What are we doing? I have not seen that.
Well, yeah, and I looked at the figures he had, which I think were the same of the ones you were talking about, and so it was kind of interesting that you had one perspective on it, and this guy, who apparently was a Notre Dame and Irish hater, I don't know. I think he had a connection to the University of Utah. It looked like that's what was on a flag behind him. Yeah, but he came down to, this is it's going to be a problem if they don't join a conference now because the money difference is so much. But
okay, now wait.
I mean, I guess
maybe
go ahead.
Maybe that guy wasn't including everything that adds into the pile, right? Like there's that extra money that comes from the ACC agreement on top of the regular agreement. Then there's another $6 million that could come if you make the field on top of that. Maybe they weren't including all the numbers, but I have genuinely not seen anybody that I follow in this Notre Dame niche put out an article or do a video going, this is a horrible deal, Notre Dame screwed, where I have not seen that. I just haven't. So I don't know.
Yeah. What was the final total you had? Do you remember?
What was it? 77, 80, something like that a year compared to around the 100
yeah,
that
well,
the other
83 million is what I added up on the figures he had. Yeah.
I don't see how that falls that far behind. Yeah, I just don't see how that I don't see how that falls so far behind. I think most people are pretty happy with the deal. I don't know. I think even I just haven't seen that. And I would expect that we would, Dr. John, as harsh as everybody is all over everything in this niche. If it was a bad deal, everybody would be losing their minds about it. I just haven't seen that. I'll look into where I would love to know who that was so I could look into it.
I'll tell you what, I'll try to track it down. I'll email you.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that because there's something there that either they're missing or I'm missing. So send me that link if you have it.
Yeah, and it may just be a matter of perspective from, the different places you're both coming from. So, but anyway, enough of business. How about talking Leonard for a little bit? I got a couple of things on that.
Yeah, we went back and forth. We went back and forth about this before I went on vacation when he was in One Piece. And we were debating how this should go and how it's going to go and what the realities are. And then sure enough, everything gets put up in the air again into gray area, perpetual Notre Dame gray area zone. And here we are again. And we haven't connected since then. So I'd love to know where you see this at now.
Well, I guess the odds just picked up for me about who's going to start that A&M game.
Yeah, if your odds increase, great. You were in early on this one.
Well, but here's the other Leonard thing. Who's ever into conspiracy theories, they're going to love this one. I think from a conspiracy standpoint, this whole thing with Leonard is a charade because I think what the coaching staff decided was they were a little worried about losing one of those the other three guys. So they've got Leonard in a cast and not going to participate in spring practice, so they don't have anybody bailing out on them. What do you think of that?
Look at you! They did a little Nancy Kerrigan action to make sure that these guys stayed around. And oh man, look at you, Dr. John, with the conspiracy theory. They did a little Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding. He's in the locker room. Why? And Freeman's going, because I need to keep all these other guys here. Just go with it.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's going to come out.
That's a wild one.
Come out, I'm telling you.
That's a wild one. And it's like after hours, Riley Leonard's running laps, dunking basketballs. He just takes the cast off. It's all an act to keep everybody from transferring. Yeah, that is a wild conspiracy theory, Dr. John. That is a wild one.
Well, I video's going to surface here pretty soon. Him dancing someplace.
Yeah, but John, you are right though. One of my first thoughts when this news broke, other than this is unfortunate, is it will at least mean that those guys are going to stay and not do a Buckner because they're all going to get more run that they wouldn't get if Leonard was there. So if you do want a silver lining, look at it as Riley Leonard's probably going to enter the year healthy and we see what happens. And then those guys stay longer to see what's going to happen. So maybe that's your silver lining.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I may have to double a bet here pretty soon, but I'll make sure. I'll make sure that I don't find any video of Leonard out there dancing or whatever. Anyway, on to the next thing. You know, these playoffs could be a psychological problem. Here's where I'm coming from. You know, when Notre Dame would have a bad year, well, you know, a 9-3 year, whatever. But then they'd win their bowl game. So you had that win taste in your mouth for the off season, like we have now. We have that Sun Bowl.
Yeah,
we have that now. In the playoffs, if you don't win them all, you're going to go into that off season with that loss feeling in your mouth.
That's a good point. I have thought of that too, how it changes the way everybody's going to feel about their year. And I've thought about that too. Like it's all going to change, like how these seasons end, and you're going to have good teams ending in losses. It's all changing, man. You're right about that. I've thought about it. It's going to be a weird dynamic. And we're gonna have to adjust because you are right. That's gonna end with a lot of teams losing some big bowl games. So but do you want to say on the other side though, the excitement that you're in the tournament that could get you a championship is more exciting and it balances it out? Right? Do you follow me? Like you're in a more exciting tournament that you could win a title, but if you're in a second tier bowl game, you could win that, but that's it. So there's a give and a take there with the plus side and the excitement of being in the tournament, but the downside of if you lose it, you know, it's a loss. I see that cutting both ways.
Yeah. You know, here's my problem with it. If, you know, we get in the playoffs, maybe we win that first game, lose the next one, then I'm looking at a couple of extra therapy sessions.
Yeah. And the issue you're going to have then is that a really good year or a bad year? Like you're going to have Notre Dame people not agreeing on that. You want to make the playoff and then you win your first game. And then is that enough for people to call the year a success, or are they going to expect more? Or does it depend on what that second round matchup looks like and who it's against and where? Like, this is all new territory, Dr. John. It's new for me, and it's going to be even more new for you, seeing as many decades of traditional postseason football as you've seen. It's going to be an adjustment. Everyone, fans, media, how you gauge a good year or not is all going to change from what we're all used to our whole lives. How you're going to gauge a good or bad year for your team is something. It's a totally new experiment.
Yeah, it's at least a 6-pack a conversation.
Yeah,
absolutely. Speaking of that, I have a fun question for you.
Oh boy!
And I think I know what your answer would be. But if you could have a beer with one Notre Dame person, living or dead, who would it be?
Frank Leahy.
That's what I thought.
It would be Frank Leahy.
That's what I thought. You know who would be for me?
The Gipper.
Johnny Latner.
Oh, that's a good one too. Just
because of the stories he would tell about Leahy mostly.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's a really, really good answer.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I feel Leahy, man. I feel that guy's presence. That house I stay in, the McBride house right around campus there where Frank used to live and hang out. I feel him in there, man. The guy that owns it was like, John, Frank, you sit in this front room rotunda looking out, writing all of his plans. I feel the guy in there, man. I'm a Frank guy for life.
Yeah, I figured Leahy would be your answer.
Yeah.
Last two things. Miami of Ohio. I'm upping the tailgate crowd. I've got my old roommate committed.
Oh yeah.
And another classmate working on. So we're gonna bring in a crowd in addition to my crazy women. So
I like that.
Crazy women, I mean my daughters.
I like. Hey, you know the deal, man. The more people, the more fun we're gonna have. I am not limiting capacity at all. The more, the better. And anybody in your presence, I'm going to default trust to be on their best tailgate behavior, Dr. John.
All right. Last thing. Did you look at the weather for Montana before your show today?
No, I did not. That's not on my list of things to do in the morning.
How did you know I was going to play golf?
No, I'm not even talking about you. There's somebody else from Montana. It wasn't you, or not Montana. What was it? What did you say? No, it was New Mexico. I was talking to the New Mexico guy.
I know, but when you talked about me, you said I'm an international golfer and everything.
Oh,
it's going to be 71 here today.
Dude, people think you live a double, triple life. We're convinced you're an international player of mystery and you are flying all over the world doing something and you have different girlfriends in different states and that's who you are to me. Okay. You're an international player of mystery.
Well, I wish I was. That sounds a lot better than hanging out here in this frozen tundra. But 71 today, and I'm going to go play golf.
Nice. Good.
As soon as your show's over.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. I appreciate it. And anything else, I'm excited to see you guys in a few weeks.
Well, you have a good show. I will track down that money thing that I talked about. And I will send you an email today, okay?
I appreciate that. Yeah, let me take a look at it because something isn't lining up for me on that. Send me that on email when you get a chance. Thank you, my friend.
Yep. Yeah, I'll just put a link in. Okay, bud. Have a good show.
Yep.
You take care of yourself.
See you in a few weeks, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Dr. John's an international player. There's no way you're going to convince me otherwise. Mason, I got you. If we get Brady Art for 26, that'll be 4 commits from top 10 QBs. Things looking great there, but a little worried about the wide receiver class. If we don't get Meadows, go Irish. People are also worried about the defensive line class. I'm not telling you not to worry about stuff, but the one thing is they're trying to give themselves flexibility and options with these having multiple of these quarterbacks that are more highly thought of than what we're used to in the same room. And then one of them's got to click. Oh, we got some more calls. Let's keep it rolling. What's going on, Mason? Good morning.
Morning, John. How about them stocks?
Oh my God. People are giving me a hard time because I put the over under at 0 wins for the year and people are going, now it's on the over already. So they're embarrassing. And you are one of my confidants because you're one of the only people that has the Notre Dame White Sox gene in you the way I do. That's not a very common combo in my circle. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. You and I share a unique pain together. So,
oh my God, isn't that the truth? Mason, thank you for giving me a call. It's been a while since we connected. I don't know what you have in mind, but go wherever you want to go here. You want to talk spring? You want to talk recruiting? What should happen with these quarterbacks now? Whatever it is, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I wanted to expand on what I had texted you yesterday or the day before when you were asking about recruiting. Are you happy the way Notre Dame's recruiting? And you were saying that your morning show was pretty divided. So I just wanted to expand on what I texted you. So as it stands, I think that people are going to feel differently once the Dallas Goldens, Mark Zachary, Derek Meadows, once those guys get moving. those decisions are all coming up. And this time of year, I think everybody forgets, myself included, that this time of year is just slow when it comes to visits, but it's about to pick up in a big way. So I think it's normal to feel like things are slow, and that's partially because Notre Dame has so many guys committed. They have double the amount of the second place team and the recruiting rankings in terms of commits. And of course, a lot of those guys are 3-stars, but I wanted to expand on what I told you yesterday was that, they took a lot of 3-stars, and the star watchers don't like that, the people that don't watch the film, but rather just look at the stars and determine if a guy is good or not. But at this time last year, Bryce Young was in the thousands and was a 3-star. When Notre Dame took Kyle Hamilton, he was a 3-star in the thousands. So at this point, I trust the staff eval, and there's only so many guys that can be 4 and 5 stars, but you got to trust that those guys are going to move up too. And we've seen that a lot in the last couple of classes. Like, I'm not going to say I love every single take, but when you hear that some of these 3-stars like Hulak are guys that the staff absolutely loves and made a spot for, I have to believe in that. And hopefully a senior film just goes nuts and, the staff's right. But when you hear that, we have to have this guy, I have to trust Freeman on those kind of evals.
Yeah. And I think that's what's getting people nervous is how many of those is too many for you to trust the evals. And then you start wondering, are they doing this because they can't get anybody else like higher? Like, that's where you just don't want to be. And the other question is, Mason, is it a mistake to take those guys early? But I think the staff looks at it the other way, that they see what's something they like and want to lock it up early. They see it as a positive to get in early on a guy, where a lot of the fans, I think, are going, shouldn't you be shooting for 4 and 5-star guys and go back to those 3-star guys if you can't get them? I don't think that's how they look at it. They trust their evaluations and the kind of athletes they're looking for. And for us, what option do we have? Hope that they're right, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think they trust their eval, and then they're able to push in all their chips on some big top-tier talent as we get into the spring and summer portion, which I'm a fan of. You can focus all your efforts on these guys and get to know really where they want to be and, what they're looking for in a recruitment, and hopefully wow them. So guys, like I mentioned, like a Mark Zachary or a Dallas Golden or a Derek Meadows or guys like that are top-end talents that you're going to need them to be on campus a couple times. Maybe you need to show them that NIL presentation a few times, whatever it takes. There's already interest there. So when you're able to give them more individual attention, because there's only so many guys you can take. I think Notre Dame's up to 18 or 19 guys.
Yeah.
The class will probably be 25 or 26. So, and to be honest, I don't care how big the class sizes are, because by the time that these guys all get onto campus within a couple months, you can tell who can play or not, or who, fit. Half those guys leave. It's just crazy the amount of turnover that we're seeing. So I don't care how big the classes are. Take anybody you think has the potential to be able to play, and if they can't play it, they'll find their way on to Ball State or whatever.
Yeah. And man, it's hard not to like what they're doing at quarterback. That room is getting rebuilt, and there's more depth and high-end talent and multiple guys that could hit here. That's been a number one thing for a long time that Notre Dame needed to improve on, and it feels like they're doing that. Don't you agree? These rooms look much better top to bottom.
I totally agree. And that was, to be honest with you, I don't know if you remember talking with me about this, but that was my number one gripe with the Kelly thing, or the Kelly era. I don't know if it was laziness or if you truly believe this, but either way, it's horrible that, we're going to go after a stud every other year and then just get, that middling 3-star in the in-betweens. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, as it stands, when you're looking towards the future of Minchie, Carr, Deuce, whoever the next guy is, Brady Hart, Smigel, whoever it is, the odds are that 2, maybe 3 of those guys don't play a snap for you. You have to go get the best guy possible every single cycle and let them battle it out. And you can't prevent them from transferring. Tim O'Malley from Irish Illustrated dropped a stat. It was like, since 1982, the Notre Dame backup, or the guy who lost the job in spring, is transferred. This isn't like a new thing. So you have to go after the absolute best guy every single cycle, let them battle it out, and then just hope we don't have to go to the freaking portal anymore, and we can have our own guy for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
That would be a nice change.
Yeah, and be able to develop. And I'm sure that's what they want to do. It just seems like a more stable path. but you got to hitch your wagon to the right guy, and then everybody can grow together. That'll give you some stability that we haven't really had. Can I ask you about a couple things on the defensive side of the ball with recruiting? I just want to see what your reaction would be. Number one is there's a lot of linebacker-ish recruiting going on. And I've had people be like, why does it seem like it's so heavy on that? Is that looking for flexibility where a guy could turn into a speed end or like a big safety, and they want like athlete and then see where they could turn into? Or am I misreading it that it seems like there's a lot of like linebacker-ish type builds and bodies here? What do you make of that?
No, yeah, I read it the same way, to be honest, because they're looking for, because at this time when you're looking at a Viper, like you need somebody, they can't be massive, but they need to be able to put on a decent amount of size but maintain speed. And there's only so many guys that can do that. So you're looking for that body type that's kind of a tweener in between a linebacker and your traditional Viper defensive end, for a guy that can flash and be quick enough to get around the edge, but not be, a traditional like big dude that's, kind of slow around the edge. So I think they like that tweener type. And then once they get them to campus, they figure out what works best. And maybe they do keep them at linebacker, keep them trim, or, they put a little bit more weight on you. And that, like a Josh Burnham or an Aiden Gobire, for example, they want to push you out wide and then just see what happens. So I don't hate it. I do wish that they were going after, not that they aren't, I guess, but I wish they could land more true defensive ends rather than teaching a guy the Viper defensive spot. But it's not the worst thing if it works out.
Yeah, and that was going to be, you led me to my next question, which was going to be, a lot of people are like, okay, D-line, there's some dudes there, but like, where's dudes that are like really highly thought of? Do you have any anxiety about that position group or where we're trending and some of the guys we may be in it for or leaning away from, or how that would go? Because that's another message I get a lot.
I am a little bit concerned about edge recruiting, but I do think that they have some dudes on campus right now. Like I'm expecting a huge year from a Traore. I think it's just there's a little bit of turnover on the defensive end spots, I guess, outside of Botello. So there's going to be new faces. And for people that don't necessarily follow recruiting, if you haven't seen guys before, you're just like, oh, who the hell is that? But Traore is going to be a household name by the end of the season. He flashed already as a freshman. That's hard to do in the defensive end spot. And then when it comes to recruiting, I don't really have anything for you there. I think some names are going to emerge. They're constantly evaluating, but it's a lot of what you had mentioned, right? It's the outside linebacker / Viper type that they're going after. So I'm not really sure what to make of that in this class. I need to watch all these guys again and then, see how they end up developing into their senior seasons. But it's an interesting approach. I really want to nail down a top end. Like you need to get, hate to bring it up, but like a Keeley or like, a top 15, 20 player in a class at defensive end. Yeah. So I guess they did get that in Bryce Young, but I anticipate him moving inside. So it's just a little bit different. Yeah.
And then switching it from recruiting to the team, this quarterback injury thing, not ideal. You really wanted the spring to build chemistry, develop, do all that. That kind of got messed up now with the injury situation with Riley Leonard. How do you think this should and will play out when we get to August? Like the rest of camp, it's pretty obvious to me how this is going to go. But when you roll into August, if you assume that Leonard's healthy, is he the default number one by that health? Or do you have an obligation to give that role to the guy who led you through spring and make Leonard pass him? How do you think this is going to go?
I think he is the default one until we're shown otherwise. I would love to see Angeli ball out in camp and really push him. But I am a little bit afraid of if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. I love what Leonard brings to the table, especially for a game like A&M where he can use his legs. And Angeli isn't a slouch either. He can run around a bit. But I think Leonard gives us, fully healthy, gives us the best chance to win at A&M. And then after that, I guess you can reevaluate. You might need his legs 15 or 20 times at A&M when things don't exactly go right when it's just so loud in there, like 107,000 of those people, and they're all lunatics. So I think the injury, while it's unfortunate, it kept, whether it was Angeli or Minchie, one of them was going to go.
Yeah.
I still kind of think one of them does. Keeping 4 quarterbacks on the roster at this
But
point
it extends
is really
it
difficult.
extends the timeline of that move out. Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
And I guess I don't really have a read on which one is more likely to leave. At this point, I would say Minchie, but just because Angeli's close to getting his degree, that's the only reason I say that. But it would make more sense for Minchie to stay and Angeli to move on and go get a job somewhere, or get a quarterback job, not like an accountant job. But there are a few guys on Notre Dame roster where I would tell them to move on and get an actual job in real life. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. It's weird how it just prolonged things.
Yeah.
Because at this point, you'd be anticipating that, we're coming up on, I guess we're in it now, the transfer portal window for the spring, and you'd be seeing here in the next couple of days, no Riley Leonard injury. You'd be seeing Angeli or Minchie probably move on.
Yeah.
Now we're just going to see that in 2 months, I guess.
Yeah, it's man, it's always something, man. Right when you think there's a plan and Notre Dame has a little bit of stability, it all gets messed up, and here we are again. Anything else to you from camp, Mason? What's standing out to you when you see these clips and you have your sources too, and you hear things about what's going on? What's a big takeaway from you for what you've seen as we're about approaching the blue and gold game in a few weeks?
Yeah, everyone's just raving about Micah Gilbert, and I'm really trying not to get caught up in the freshman wide receiver hype because it happens every single year. But this reminds me a lot of the hype that Greathouse was getting before the blue and gold game, and then he had 11 catches. You're like, whoa, this guy can play. And then he scores 2 touchdowns against Navy. So he had a solid year last year. I anticipate Greathouse to have a good year this year, and it wouldn't surprise me if Gilbert filled that role in terms of being the 4th or 5th guy and getting solid playing time. I think Cam Williams is still the jewel of last class in terms of receivers, but Mikey Gilbert's the most ready to play right now, and I think he's going to make a big impact. So he's probably in the top 2 or 3 guys outside of quarterbacks, of course, that I'm excited to see on blue and gold game. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing you there, by the way. You're going, right?
Yep. We are going, and we're tailgating, baby. So everybody's invited all day. I'll have the flags up in front of the Leahy statue. You can't miss it. And we're going to have ourselves a day. Everybody's invited.
I love it. I got one more thing, and I'll let somebody else hop in, John. But I'm excited to see the corners. BMO being out sucks. He doesn't need these reps, but I need him to be healthy by week 1. But I need to see something from the corners. And it sounds like Mickey and Gray are going at it, which is great. I mean, those are two of the better corners we've had recently. I need to see one of them nail down the job. But also I'm curious to see what the rest of the back end looks like with Hurd. I want to see what he looks like. Clark. We're not worried about Watts or BMO, or I guess I'm really not worried about the other corner spot either, because I know that Mickey or Gray will be fine. So I'm just curious what the rest of the secondary looks like, because I feel really good about the defense as it stands.
Yeah. Man, I'm with you. I really the last thing for you is, do you think it's realistic that this offense really does get more electric and pushes it more and is more exciting and takes some chances and tries to open things up a little more? Like, that's kind of the goal here with Denbrock. Do you think that's a reality, or is the personnel still going to limit some of that for Notre Dame? I think you're going to see more that we like, that excites us. I just don't know how much more you're capable of pulling off.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know if you're going to see deep shots necessarily, because I don't know how great Riley Leonard is at throwing the deep ball, but I think we're going to see more exciting stuff and getting absolute most out of the personnel we do have. Like, everyone's talking about Jeremiah Love in the slot right now, just getting him the ball. And I think that he can be used, I don't want to say in like a Chris Tyree way, but I think that he's a better Tyree in the way that he's an all-purpose back. He has that next level speed, and Tyree had that straight line speed, but he couldn't make anybody miss. Love has that wiggle where he can make people miss in space. He's a great pass catcher. He can run in between the tackles as well. So this is going to be a big year for him. I'm super pumped to see that. And the Thunder and Lightning combo with Price is going to be super interesting, because, I mean, they're both once they get moving, they're in the same kind of speed category. They're just different players, and they complement each other really well. So I'm curious to see what Denbrock does with those two.
Yeah, and one of Denbrock's big strengths everybody talks about is finding favorable matchups to exploit, finding weaknesses, like doing all that. Like, I just think you're going to be entering these moments with a different level of thought and preparation and adjustment ready. Like, I really hope we see that. And if you can spread it out at all, not like deep bombs, but if you get anything you could spread out with the rest of the passing game only helps the running game. And it's just going to help keep guys from lining up on the line of scrimmage and crashing down. It'll help everything. I hope we get some of this.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame has a better offensive line than LSU, and they're used to the ground and pound. So if you're able to spread them out, and then you're able to run the ball with less people in the box, that's a great thing. So almost wish Denbrock was here 1 year earlier. I would love to see Estime working with that. But
yeah, and then again, big game one, Texas A&M and those weirdos and those male cheerleaders in the white overalls and all. But Mason, I'm already not here for it. I've already heard they pump in fake crowd noise. You're going to have all of that. I'm already worked up about it, man. It's like 5 months early, and I'm ready to go.
Oh yeah, wait until they drop they do like a diss, like the male cheerleaders, like the week of, they're gonna make some sort of diss.
Wow. I'm really strange people. I'm really scared of that diss track coming from a male in white overalls. Said nobody. Like, bro, it's weird.
I need you to remix it.
It is weird. I am already sick of these people, and so it's gonna be one more thing on the way out. What would be a successful year for you in the new playoff era for Notre Dame? We've never been through this before. Is it make the tournament and win a game? Like, what is your line that's going to make you say, man, this was a good year?
Yeah, you got to win a game.
Yeah.
It's kind of shocking Notre Dame hasn't won one yet. I think they've had good teams that were capable, and they just did, the Kelly shits down his leg in those kind of games. So, if they make it as like a 5 or 6 seed, you have a favorable matchup, especially if you're at home, there's no reason not to win that kind of game. I think Notre Dame, if they were to be in that 5 or 6 range this year, would have played like Liberty or something like that. Like, if you don't beat Liberty by 21, 28, like, I just need to see them not only make it, which would mean you're going 11-1, 12-0, but prove yourself in the playoff and make a run at the thing. Of course, a national championship would be great. I don't know if that's realistic this year, but make a run at it. Make people believe, and let's see what a South Bend crowd in the winter looks like. For a playoff game, unprecedented.
Yep. That's what you want. That's the goal, is doing enough to get that first home game the last week of December, and hopefully against a warm weather team. Like, that is, if you have to give up the bye, but you get that, I'll make that concession to be a part of this. That would be a premier situation for us.
Yep, I'm down. Thanks for having me on, John. I'll let somebody else hop in.
Hey,
I'll turn your stream back.
I really appreciate you jumping in, Mason. Always good talking to you. And then we'll see you in a few weeks at the game. I'll text you with some more details. We'll see you there.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Have a good one, buddy. Thanks for touching base.
Right,
really appreciate it. He always has a lot of recruiting information here. What are you guys saying? Man, you guys are funny today. Oh, boy. They will not play in South Bend? What do you mean? Pat, are you talking to me? What do you mean they won't play in South Bend? I thought the idea was that if you're the 5 seed, you get to host that first round game at your place, or you get to select a neutral site you want to be at. I thought that was the whole point of this for the play. No. Wait, we got to figure this out. My understanding is if Notre Dame's a 5 seed, they're going to host a home playoff game in the first round. Then if you win, then it goes to a neutral site automatically, I thought. NBC has exclusive rights to broadcast. Pat, there's no way. There's no way. I get what he's saying now, that it has to do with ESPN. There is no way Notre Dame agreed to a TV deal that takes a home playoff game away from Notre Dame. There's no way. I absolutely refuse to accept that. I 100% refuse to accept. There's no way. There's just no way. There's no way Notre Dame would agree to a deal where you get a home game, but because of TV, it can't be at home. There's no way they'd agree to that. There's just no way. It's got to be for I get what Pat's saying about the TV deal and NBC having it for home games. There's got to be something in there about regular season or whatever. There's no way Notre Dame's doing that. And if they do, I'm going to blow my stack on here. I'm going to get mad. There's no way. I'm going to, you can't, that is the biggest advantage of all of this is setting this up to have a home game in cold weather. That's the biggest advantage you could have doing this. There's no way. I'm going to be upset. There's no way. You can't. I refuse to accept this. The whole concept of all this is getting in a position to host that home playoff game in cold weather. That's the whole point. So I don't know. 574, what's going on? Got a couple more calls coming up. 574, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing, John?
I'm doing very well. Having a good, exciting morning here. Some good callers. What's on your mind?
Here's the thing is, you just said it, just that you think that they can't move home games away from northern teams in the playoffs, but you're going to have the ACC, SEC complaining, saying that it's not good enough atmospheres. Fans are not going to travel to cold games, move them to indoor fields like Indianapolis or heck.
I think that's coming.
They're going to complain. They're going to whine. They're going to do everything they can.
Yeah, you're right. That's why I'm saying you got to get in that and take advantage of it before they wise up to that and then they change it. But I think you're right. And they're going to push behind the scenes and then it'll be a neutral site winner thing. Yeah. So I think you're right. That's probably coming. Good call.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, you're going to see people bring up Indianapolis, Detroit, even Minnesota. They're going to put these up as options for neutral sites because they're going to say, well, our fans are not going to travel in the snow. Well, tough crap,
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm telling you, that's exactly what's going to happen.
I want that home game, and I want a warm weather team coming up here miserable in those full face masks, thermal things. I want it cold and miserable is what I want. So that's my goal for the year is if I be in a position where you can host that game at Notre Dame. That's what I want.
Oh yeah, but I mean, other than that. This time of year, I'm always paying attention to our recruiting, and that wide receiver that just decommitted from Ohio State, I think his name is Boggs. He was teasing Deuce Knight on Monday. Do you think that was just an April Fool thing, or do you think he was being serious?
I don't know, but I like seeing that there's any sort of connection at all, and I like, what else gives me comfort? The way Deuce recruits on Twitter gives me a lot of comfort. I like seeing him in the mix. I like seeing him kind of teasing things. And it reaffirms to me his commitment to Notre Dame to see him putting in the work to try and get the interest of other guys. I love that.
I think it's pretty funny that a lot of other fan bases think he's going to flip when he's said multiple times on 3 and other interviews saying that I've only scheduled 2 visits. And both of them are to Notre Dame.
I have been reassured he loves Notre Dame. Mom is totally bought into Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame educational path, long-term benefit thing. Every time I ask anybody behind the scenes about this, they say, you're good, don't worry. However, I've heard that before and gotten burned many, many times with Notre Dame recruits. But I am told this is the rare instance where a kid from way down south in an area we never usually recruit has fallen in love with Notre Dame and the coach and wants to be there. Until I hear otherwise, I'm running with that theory.
Right. And I completely agree. Like, it's never set in stone until the paper's signed. But that being said, we also never had recruits that have been so committed to doing what Deuce has been doing the last couple of years, other than CJ, which I would even argue he's doing more than CJ did.
Yeah. It's, man, and the thing with Deuce is he is not polished. This is just the athlete of all athletes that you get and make it work. Like, I'm not acting like he's a polished quarterback prospect. It's very, very raw, but he provides an athleticism level we've never have at that position. And with that, the sky is the limit. It's just an interesting It's an interesting way for Notre Dame to go because they never usually go that way. I'm here for it. I want to see how it goes.
We just need to hope that when he comes in, that we prepare him properly. We've gotten many so-called, high ceiling talents coming in, and they either can't throw the ball right or they stay in the pocket too long. It's just
now wait a second. I trust Gino Gaduli and Denbrock to properly develop these guys way more than I could ever trust Tommy Reese and Kelly doing it. I'll tell you that right now. I already feel like I'm in a better spot.
That is true.
And I didn't mean to yell at you. I didn't mean to yell at you. I'm yelling at the situation, not you. I'm mad at the situation, not you. I know that comes off bad, but I'm yelling about the situation, not at you. I know you know that. I felt bad with the blow up.
Right. And I completely agree. No, you're right. But I'm just saying is that with the staff we have, I have more confidence that we can mold him into a better, what his most potential could be compared to in the past when you got these high talented, players that are, got the perfect size, got a perfect arm strength, and they can't hit this broadside of a barn.
Yeah. It's, we've been down that path. We've been down that path. I need Notre Dame quarterback stuff to start looking way different and feeling way different. We need to change our mindset here. And so I don't know, man. And speaking of that, what do you think is going to happen here with the quarterback dynamic with Riley Leonard injured? If he comes back healthy in August, is he the default number one guy as the plan was? Or do you have an obligation to start the guy that runs all through spring? I don't know.
See, my question is when he was going on his whole trip, did Notre Dame tell him that, coming here, you'll get this NIL deal, but you have to remain healthy? Was that part of the conversation?
No.
Because they know about his injury.
He's getting that. They caused it. That money is guaranteed regardless of the injury, whatever the NIL is. That money was guaranteed. And I have heard conflicting reports about the health reports coming from Duke. Not that they did anything untoward, but I have heard mixed reports on how clean the bill of health was and how aware Notre Dame was of every single little thing going on. I have heard conflicting information on that.
Okay. Well, that's fine. But here's how I see the situation is, first of all, thank God it's happening now. Yep. It sucks, but it's good it's happening.
Mini now. Nightmare, not full nightmare. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's how I would see it if I'm the coaching staff. You have 3 quarterbacks back there, all incredibly talented. You see that Leonard got hurt. Obviously, he could still be at practices. He's still learning the playbook. There's still things like that. But you can be in front of those 3 quarterbacks and tell them, listen, if he ever gets hurt, one of you guys has to step up and be the next guy. And next year, it's all marbles are on the table. We are not looking for a new quarterback in the portal. We trust in you 3, and whoever is the best out of you, all 3 of you, gets the job. And if Leonard gets hurt this season, that even makes it even better for you now to get the second job because you'll have an advantage next year.
Yeah.
That I think right there will keep them here even after the spring game. Now, next year, I will say, next year, one of them is gone. I would even argue before the spring game.
Yeah, there's just too many high-level guys in that room to keep everybody happy. It's just a numbers game. And I'm fine with that. You just need to make sure you're propping up the right one and letting the right one leave. That's the only big mistake Notre Dame can make in this is hitching their wagon to the wrong guy and then the right guy leaves. You just got to make sure you navigate this in a way where you make sure you keep the guy that you really, really want to lead. The number one. After that, you got to kind of let what happens.
Exactly. But that's how I would see the situation if I'm in the coaching room, which I haven't heard any news that any of them are looking to leave. And Steve Angeli said before the bowl game, I'm not planning on leaving until I get my degree, which I completely trust.
Yeah.
He's not going to leave until he gets that piece of paper.
Yeah.
So, but Minchie, I haven't heard anything about him. I just hear good things in practice. That's all I've heard, which is good. If you don't hear no news, it's good news.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I'm just not used to Notre Dame having a quarterback room where I'm genuinely interested in everybody involved. Like I joke a lot about Notre Dame's quarterbacks not being good enough. I genuinely mean, I don't ever remember a year entering spring where I had genuine interest in seeing more of every quarterback we had. And this year provided that. And I think that is, you want to worry about recruiting and the defensive line recruiting and all. What are we doing? Fine. I'm with you on that. But on the quarterbacks, you got to admit, this is a major upgrade in that room, is having an opportunity to find the next star in a way we haven't had in a long time. They're doing a good job there, I think.
It's a way better feeling when you know that if your starting quarterback gets hurt, you're not too worried because you know the guy behind him is just as ready and probably can fill in the shoes. Just like in 2015 when Zaire got hurt and Kaiser stepped up.
Yeah.
When he had to. It's that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
You don't feel as stressed as you did before.
And then what is your confidence?
Like Cohen going down, the ship was sinking.
Yeah, exactly. What is your confidence level in Mike Denbrock's ability to get more out of this offense? Test defenses more, maximize the skill set we have, prioritizing good matchups, thinking through the game to set things up to come back to later. Like, what is your confidence this offense is really going to look more electric? Maybe even using the mid-range pass to set up runs. Like, what is your confidence level? This is really going to look noticeably different to where we're all like, wow, this is why you brought Mike Denbrock here. What is your confidence level you're going to see that?
So here's how I see it. So our offense in the last 3 or 4 years has been focusing mostly on the run, tiring out the defense in the second half, pulling away with the game. That's how our offense has been the last 3 or 4 years. With Mike Denbrock, the way I see it, because the way that we run our offense the last couple of years is we scored points more in the second half than we did the first half. It was always a low-scoring game in the first half. With Mike Denbrock, we're going to see more points scored in the first half of games in the future. That I believe with strong confidence that he wants to score points fast in the first half, second half, use the running backs to basically, either ease the game a bit more on that defense and take opportunities when you can, because that's always how he was. I mean, I think he did that back in 2015 when he had his, so-called best offense he ever had. He threw points up like no other in the first half, second half, have the running backs just tire the defense.
Yeah. And here's one specific thing I'm looking for. 9 or 10 games a year, Notre Dame can run out there what they're going to run out there and look decent because they just have more talent than the team they play. But when you face those couple top defenses that really have NFL dudes and are well-coached, well-disciplined, you need to have a good plan philosophically and then pivots off of it when the defense reacts. That's where I'm most interested in seeing what this is going to look like. Do you have an actual plan to move the ball against these good defenses? And then when they react to what you're doing, pivot off of it? All of that game planning and having a feel for what you're trying to do and what you can do and what you're going to go to if it doesn't work. I want to see all that stuff because that's high-level football stuff that you need to beat the best teams we're going to play. And I want to see what Denbrock comes up with. And I want to see if our guys could deliver it athletically.
I also believe that Mike Denbrock can be a little eased because he at least now has a team where his defense will be just as good as this offense he's coaching.
Yeah. There should
Instead
be
of, at LSU the last 2 years, if the ball was turned over, he
Yeah.
had no confidence that, that his defense was going to keep them from scoring.
Dude, it was wild, man. I watched all those LSU games just because of the Kelly intrigue, and it was so wild. They felt like if they didn't score a touchdown every drive, they were going to lose because the defense just couldn't stop anything.
Right. And that's the confidence that you can have at least. It's like, if we don't score on this, at least I know our defense can maybe hold them back. And I have confidence in this defense this year to be a top 5 defense. Anything short of that, I think is disappointing because the talent that you see on this team, especially with the sophomore and freshman we had the last 2 recruiting cycles, especially Clarence Lewis leaving. That was a shock to me. This guy was a, veteran corner, and apparently he was getting beat out by the new guys.
Yep. Yeah, and that is one of
that should tell you all you need to know.
Yeah, and that is one of the things I'm most excited about defensively is the blend of some upperclassmen proven guys that are trusted and reliable mixed in with younger, twitchier, more athletic, younger guys. That is a winning blend to me on defense, and I'm really excited to see it. I think Notre Dame's in a pretty good spot there.
Exactly. And I think what everything stems off this year about either making the playoffs or how well we perform as a team this year all reflects on week 1's game. I don't see Florida State and USC being the statement for this season. I think it's against Texas A&M. How do you handle the crowd? How do you, test yourself coming out of the gate from the first week? What is your team's identity from week 1?
It is going
that
to
is right
be
there going to be the statement of the year.
And we all know this. Week 1 is over amplified and over magnified. Everybody's looking to week 1 all summer. You're looking at it. Then when you have a big matchup week 1, all this importance gets put on it. The momentum, like the feeling of the energy is the tone's going to be set week 1. It's either going to be we win and we're all in, and now you got a string of winnable games leading into Louisville or whatever, or it's going to be here we go again. Notre Dame can't win the big one. Marcus Freeman needs to be fired, and the recruiting's going to fall apart, and everything sucks. It's just the nature of what week 1 is. And when you play a big game like this, there's a lot on the line in that. And I'm picturing that Texas sun going down and the heat out there in the late August. It's all coming to me already, man. It's a big, big moment, and Freeman needs it.
Right, exactly. And Freeman's now been into a lot of loud atmosphere, so I think he'll be fine getting his players ready. So I'm not too worried about us being ready.
Well, now wait a second. No. Wait a second. I got to push back. Notre Dame did not come playing ready on the road. Notre Dame did not come ready on the road last year. They didn't. Even the games we won, we played bad on the road last year. That I wonder, that's in the back of my mind. We played bad on the road almost every road game. Even the ones we won, we started out bad. And that makes me a little uncomfortable.
True. But did we play the best we could in some of those environments to what talent we had? Because I'm always going to bring that back up. What did talent Marcus Freeman have? Because he didn't have a wide receiver room, if you remember those last 2 years.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And he was relying on Audric Estime and the rest of the running back room to score points. You're relying on that at home too. I don't see that as an excuse to play worse on the road. I saw a clear split between how good we played starting out games at home versus the road. And we had this,
it was a trend last year that I didn't like. Even the games we won on the road, a lot of them did not start great. Stanford started out bad on the road. NC State started out on the road. It's on my radar. Clemson, Louisville, woof. So I have a little anxiety about that. But maybe you say, Week 1, this moment, A&M, there's no sleepwalking into this one. The guys should be fired up. And if you said that, I would maybe agree with it. You got to get up for Week 1. How can you not be, right?
Exactly. But that's basically my point. But he's got the talent he now has. So getting the guys ready mentally, I think he'll be able to do. It's just the consistent and focusing on, doing your job is all that matters on Week 1. And if they do that, then the rest of the year, all his job has to do is don't be overconfident.
Yeah. Yeah, man,
that's the lesson he teaches those kids the rest of the season.
There's so much on the line this year. This is such a big year for the program, and where Freeman's at in his tenure with the new playoff. I don't want to put undue extra pressure on Notre Dame, but this is a big year with a lot of big stakes and a lot of people looking at you under a magnifying glass. They got to pull it together, and it's got to be a great year. You need it. You're past due. It's time. Freeman's getting out of the rookie coach, leeway thing. We need this all to start rounding up, shaping into form.
Right. And I think, like I said, I think it'll, turn out just fine. But I'm just genuinely interested to see what that statement is Week 1.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a big one.
Because if it's good, I'm telling you right now, is that the hype for Notre Dame for the rest of the season is going to be big. And then you're going to be seeing people expecting Notre Dame to plant every last game until the playoffs.
Yeah. It's going to set the tone in the emotional direction arrow and the momentum arrow right away. Anything else, my friend? Thanks for touching base on a Wednesday.
Which I will bring this up to you, because I've already had this conversation with a few people already, is if you win that Week 1 game, I would argue the rest of the home games for Notre Dame are going to be nothing but recruiting missions, because you're going to have there's already a ton of players on Notre Dame's team that are, sons or related to NFL talent.
Yeah.
And you're going to invite them on sidelines to watch their kids play. What's going to stop Marcus Freeman saying, to this recruit, hey, come to Notre Dame, what's his name's going to be here if you would like to, potentially meet him on the sideline?
Yeah. Yep. Nope. Hey, man, this is such an interesting dynamic. There's so many changes, so much new, and we're just wondering how it's going to go. I'm here for all of it, man. Hey, thanks for giving me a call on a Wednesday. Call again.
Yeah, absolutely. You have yourself a great day, and hopefully it doesn't snow too much in Chicago today.
Oh, tell me about it. And then the blue and gold game. I see that 5-7-4. You got to come by the tailgate, right? Come on now.
Oh, absolutely. I just hope it doesn't rain like it did last year.
Yeah, but especially everybody with the 5-7-4. I know they're local enough. You have no excuse not to be at the tailgate. We'll see you there, my friend. Call me again before then, though, okay?
Absolutely.
Have a good one. Telling you, man, we're getting some good callers this week. I really do enjoy it. Oh, man. All right. 1 minute sponsor break. We'll be back. Take some more calls. Then we'll see how much time we have, and we'll either I'll get into my Florida stories, or if we can push that to Friday because we have too many good callers, we'll do that. In today's fast-paced digital age, seamless and secure transactions for your business aren't a luxury. They're an absolute necessity. That's where your friends at Paisley step in. Paisley's in the business of making your business run smoother, not just as a payment processor, but as a true partner in your success and growth. Paisley's platform is intuitive, the fees are transparent, security ironclad, processing instant, and the support team is unmatched. If you're looking to take your business to the next level anywhere in the United States, Call one of the all-stars of Always Irish Radio, Chicago's very own Tom Frawley at 773-332-7742 or email him tom@paisleypartners.com for a personalized payment processing consultation addressing your unique business needs. And be sure to tell him Always Irish sent you. We are back. 859, you're coming up. Who knows where he's going to go? Mark says, Catholics versus Creepers week 1. I already got a t-shirt made for that game, and it's called the Oil Pay for Play versus Rosary Pray. So it's going to be something like Pay for Play versus Rosary Pray, something like that. I got something in the books for that one. South Bend used to be 219. Is it 219 is like North Central Illinois, like not Chicago, but like kind of Central Illinois is 219 now. Pretty sure. 859, you're on the line. What's up, Tim?
John, has the Florida sun fried your brain? This isn't open for debate.
What?
It's only one thing is a successful year. You hang a banner, not make the little playoffs. No. Because if we do that, let's take a little lockdown campus, okay? You know that sign they hit when they walk down the stadium and it lists all the years with all the titles? What do all those have in common? A title. If we do not win a title, it is not a good year. Point one. What are the coaches that have statues on campus? What all do they have? Title. Because in your theory, or any of these so-called fans, which I don't know how they call themselves a fan, this isn't debatable for a six-pack. You have a case when you're depressed when we lose. No. You freaking win a title or it's a bust. No, not debatable. Fact. That's it.
Okay.
And if that's what we're lowering the bar to, join the damn Big Ten, shut the damn program down.
Tim, I love you, man. Never change, ever. Never, ever change. You didn't even do like the niceties, John. Nice to see whatever. The first thing, you just jump right into it. I see the sun fried your brain, John. Here, let me react to this. If you follow me.
We can't always agree
Tim,
on everything.
No. Listen, follow me here. I want to have a genuine discussion about this. Follow me here. It's very, very hard. If you're going to do if you don't win a title, then it's a failed year or whatever. If that's your bar and it is that black and white only without intermediate levels in between, it makes it really hard to gauge your progress towards that title or whatever. If it's just, we didn't win a title, it's a fail. And whether it's 10-2 or 7-5, it's a fail. Whether it's a playoff run, but you lose or what, like there's gotta be levels to this while you're trying to build it is what I'm saying. Obviously it's going to be a failure if you don't win a title, but to what level? Not all failures are the same is my point. Does that make sense? You have to be able to gauge. You got to be able to gauge where you're at in that journey more than just pass fail. You got to have the nuance to know where you're building or falling behind. That's my point.
Well, you can gauge it and then you're depressed. Ultimately, you can gauge it all you want. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But that's what worries me is I think that's going to be what we're going to lower the bar to. Because even ask A.R. Parsegian, look what he did. He took a 2-8 team. The next year should have won the title, but they made up a phantom holding call out at SC. They consider that success. That's not that. There's no banner on campus for that year. How about, and we got screwed. How about the 93 year? There's no banner on campus for that one either, is there? Or 89 when we lost to Miami. You can regress them. Yeah, you can comment, okay, are we getting closer to winning the title? Did we go 2 rounds in the playoffs? Did we go 3? Because ultimately you're going to have to win 4 games. But if you don't, unfortunately, that's the rules we have to play with now. You've got to win 4. So I always would debate on that. I wish it would have stayed at 2. I'd rather just have the one great year where you have a good enough team to win the title than what we got to have now.
And then win one game.
Sneak in with 2.
Yeah, and then win one game and you're the champions. Listen,
exactly,
Tim, I'm not trying to. I mean, you know me off the air too. I'm not a guy that's going to accept not winning a title. That's always going to be a failure. But I mean, like, do you really think Notre Dame's a championship winning roster this year? or last year? Like, did you think that was realistic? I struggle with that, Tim, of like what I want it to be and what it should be versus what is our reality. Sometimes there's middle ground there that makes it hard to have that discussion.
I think we could have been. I think the defense level's there. I think we're building up enough depth. The problem is they didn't take the 1-year quarterback hit. And now we've got this dilemma again. Because I'm sorry, who's ever guaranteeing this money is not a true Notre Dame fan. I pay him the $2 million to walk away, buy out his contract. If he can't produce, he doesn't need to be there. If he's injury prone and he's supposedly can't throw, I mean, come on. If you play the person that gives us the best chance to win. I know that's not the way it's going to happen. I get that. I'm a realist on that. But how can you look yourself in the mirror? Because the locker room knows, John. You know that. You'll have a split locker room if they also think somebody else should be playing quarterback.
Yeah.
And they just got to go with Leonard.
Yeah.
You're gonna split. You'll destroy this team.
Yeah. Well, and that's why Jay, somebody put in Tim for athletic director. You're getting some votes here, buddy. People want you to go right in there and bulldoze your way through, baby.
We haven't even gone into his nose ring yet. You want me to lose my mind?
Yes. If you want to go into the nose ring, go ahead. How come that was just enforced now, Tim? Why did they just enforce it then?
But she's got to know that, though. Ivy's got to know everything on. Could you imagine if we had to sit our quarterback or a stud defensive lineman for some ticky-tack rule like that? John, I knew I threw up. It looked like they were. Did you see the highlights when they were trying to get? It looked like they were doing poor major surgery on the poor woman.
It did. I know. It was a bizarre circumstance. And then when they couldn't get it out, it was like they panicked, and then it made it worse. It was the most bizarre. It was a weird, bizarre thing. I don't know. Tim, my dad is on your side. He's Always Irish Senior says the effing bar has been lowered from 88 to now. I agree with Tim. So he's not happy with it either. You Tims had it made back in the old day, watching us win all the time. I'm jealous of you old Tims.
Well, your dad's got a few more. He saw all the Parsegan years. I only saw one of his.
Yeah, he got all the era stuff too. So I'm not trying to lower the bar, but you have to be realistic about kind of where you're starting from to gauge your proximity to that bar is kind of where I'm at here.
How about we finally get over the hump and no bar? We get to the promised land again, please. Just once. I'm not asking for multiple. Just one more. That's not asking a lot. One. Just please, one more. One. It's been over 30 years.
Does it not make sense that what I'm saying, Tim, that like if you don't win the championship, it's a failure and that's like accepted. But then it's what level of failure? Maybe that's what I'm debating. It's not whether it's a failure or not, but like what level of failure? Does that make sense?
But you're still using the word failure. Notre Dame across the board and everything they did was to be the number one at what they do.
Yeah.
So if you make the playoffs, granted, your program's on the uptick, but if you don't win it all, then you're not number one, and it's a failure.
Yeah. Yep. No, I'm not going to say that that's not
no, John, I'm not saying you, but you have callers. I've heard them say it. They don't want to openly debate it, and I can tell it. It's their age demographic. I understand. You guys we've been a laughing stock. Trust me, it's taken 20 years off my damn life with the 3 clowns we had to deal with. And you got people that want to question Marcus Freeman. Are you kidding me? The way he works his tail off, and I want this question answered by them too. Who are you bringing in that's going to care as much and do the work? Give me a name, and then I'll shut up.
Yeah.
But please, for the love of God, give me a name.
Yeah, and you know what, man? I'm getting pushback on that too, Tim. I'm getting people that are saying, I understand your big thing with Freeman is you appreciate the work ethic more than you got out of Kelly and the way he treats people. But people are already saying, all right, 2 years of that, great. Now we need to start winning. And I do kind of agree. That stuff only gets you so far, and then you got to start having the results on the field. I agree with that. It's time to start rounding into form, man. Yeah, you got to start winning.
But his win-loss records is better in the first 2 years than Holtz's and Kelly's. Now, granted, Holtz went on to have a hell of a great third year through his 8th year, but I mean, everybody's acting like I know we lost some games we shouldn't have, but everybody's acting like Freeman put up these 5-6 loss seasons. No, he didn't. And and look what he was dealt with. And a quarterback room that, come on, high schools had better ones, and no wide receivers.
Yeah, but
that in too.
Okay, but Tim, now you're making excuses. Notre, you either fail or you're the champion. You're making excuses now. You're blaming the roster and what he inherited. Look at you. Look at you. Oh, you're doing it, Tim. You're doing what you yelled at me for doing.
I didn't say Freeman had successful years. I'd say successful years. I'm just saying this is why he did win it. That you can look at that. That's why we didn't win. I can accept that. No, I can't accept it.
Right. But you can understand why he did win. Right. You could not accept it, but understand the dynamic of why. Yeah.
Ask people around me what my mood is when we lose. Ask somebody that watched the game because we didn't want to drink when we watched that game at 12:05 Easter Saturday morning, and when I got to watch this major surgery, what my mood was.
Tim, sometimes I worry about you, man. Just sometimes I worry about you. I know you get legitimately depressed over a lot of this stuff. I legitimately worry about you sometimes. And even when you text me
I've told people, John, when I don't get depressed, that's when you worry.
Yeah, because then you're checked out.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, when I don't have the passion for it.
Yep.
And that's when you have to say it's time to go home.
Yep, you're beyond the emotion. But I like it every once in a while. I'll just open my phone and there's 4 tirade texts from you just going off on different things, and most of it I can't repeat here. Tim, I love it. I love the intensity. We need more people like it. Even when you're yelling at me about something, I appreciate it, man. It's awesome. I love it.
All right, have a good day. Now, if we lose, I agree with you. I'm going to lose my mind again. I figure with Swarbrick, that's a deal he cut. If we give up that home game, I know people right. They probably are going to be right that they're going to start crying from down south.
Yeah.
But USC did this many, many years ago. Because that's the other thing. If I'm ND, I'm saying, all right, you want to keep this contract with us? Then we're playing. It's like Ohio State, Michigan. We're playing every time the last game of the year. If not, we'll drop you.
I like that. Ooh, that is a good idea. Maybe you have more flexibility to do that with them moving into the Big Ten scheduling model. I like that. That was a good one.
Because they used to do it. Because my dad's generation, they did play the last game, and then SC cried because of the weather, and that's when they moved it. So yeah, you do that, or hey, we're in the bargaining thing here. If you don't want us, somebody will go play us. Trust me.
Yeah,
we bring too much. Look at the TV ratings.
Yeah, I like that move too. Man, Tim, you're one of a kind, buddy. I'm glad I found you. You're one of a kind, man. I love it.
And have a great day. And God bless.
Oh, take care, Tim. Good call, man. That dude is like, I mean, I'm a pretty intense guy with this stuff. He's like intense in a different way when he gets built up, man. But bro, I will just take out my iPhone and sometimes I'll have 4 paragraphs texted from Tim, and it's about different Notre Dame things, and it's all like profanity and this and that, and it's just a beautiful thing. I just love people that care about all this stuff that much. Oh man, it's a beautiful thing. Oh boy, man, that's funny. Cheesy Pete's wild stuff. All right, you guys. We took care of all the callers. I think we're going to wrap it up here. We'll do the Florida stuff on Friday. I like that. Friday's a fun day, a more relaxing day. I didn't know how many calls we were going to have today or where it would go to fill up kind of the time window. We did pretty good on that, hour and 45 minutes. We will save the Florida stories and the other stuff that I was talking about for Friday. This is fine because it gives us more stuff to talk about. Thank you to everybody that called. Thank you to everybody that super chatted. We got a good healthy mix here. Thanks to everybody. We'll see you on Twitter, and I'll have a video for you tomorrow. Have a good one.